Hey everybody! A few months ago on the blog I wrote that we're going to start getting into flying. And it's been a little bit longer than I wanted, but we had to find all the right parts to build a quadcopter. We're going to cover building the quad, which covers the ESCs, the flight controller, the software for the flight controller, but we're also going to get into modifying a radio a little bit. So to start with, here is everything we need to build our basic quad frame, and that's what we're going to be building today. Okay, so here we have all the parts laid out for our quadcopter. This is a 250 class quadcopter, meaning its maximum dimension from the motor in one corner to the motor in the opposite corner is 250 millimeters. This quadcopter is modeled after something called the ZMR 250. It's essentially a direct copy of it, but the ZMR comes in either black fiberglass or usually carbon fiber, which is also black. This is a what's known as silver carbon fiber, but it really is not carbon fiber. It's actually glass fiber. There is no carbon fiber in a silver carbon fiber like this. Here we have our instructions. So we have basic what it should look like, and then we have our step-by-step instructions. So going through those, we have a bottom plate, a mid plate, a top plate, our four arms, four mounting legs, landing legs. We have our camera mount if we're going to do FPV, which we will eventually, and we have an additional camera mount for a Mobius camera to sit on top for filming, and then we have all of our screws and standoffs. So let's get started. Okay, so we've got all of our parts laid out. We've got our nuts, we have a set of long screws, a set of short screws, we have the isolating bobbins for the Mobius camera so that it doesn't get any jello in the shots, which is when you see the sort of wiggly motion going on. And we have our standoffs to separate the height. We're going to take one of our two matching plates here. We're going to take this one here in the middle to start off with. And we're going to start by using the short screws. And what we're going to do here is step one, which is to just install all of these standoffs. And so we start off with one at each corner. And we'll just go through and put them in according to the instructions. Now our middle ones are going to go just inside of our four mounts, four screw holes for the arm mount. Okay, so now that we have that portion of it put together, the next thing we're going to do is set that down, and we're going to take our other matching plate and we're going to start running screws through the four holes that will hold on our first arm. And essentially we're going to put on the arm and set down our top plate on top of that. So we've created a sandwich between the two that holds the arm in place. And then we set a lock on the top. And we'll do this for all four of the arms. Okay, so now we have them all on there, and we can just go ahead and tighten them all down. Okay, so our next step is to install our top plate here. But what we need to do first is to decide which end is going to be our front so that we can put in our board camera mount for FPV later on. So we'll just put it here on the left. It slides down into those slots. And then we take our top, and it also has two other slots. We connect on top of that. And we start putting in the short screws. Okay, now the way the legs work is they just simply slide on over. You can ratchet them on, but we're not actually going to be using the legs. Mostly it's a matter of preference, but I want to be able to fly really, really low, and I don't want them to get caught on anything. So we're just going to put those aside for right now. And we get a few extra screws, and we'll put those aside as well. Now this next part is a little bit fiddly, and essentially what we have to do is we have to take this little isolating bobbin, which has a very thin rubber, and on each end it's thinner than it is in the middle. Right. So what we're going to do is put that one through each of these four holes here, and then we're going to put one through each of these four holes here with this sitting on top, and it will allow the camera to move a little bit, allow the flight platform to move a little bit underneath the camera without introducing any vibrations into the camera footage itself. There's no really easy way to do these. The best thing that I've found so far is to sort of pinch them together a little bit and slide one side in, and that gets you one side out. And then if you have fingernails, you can sometimes push them through that way. You can sometimes give them a little bit of a twist and they'll pop in. But oftentimes what you'll get is having just this little bit of extra left that you can't quite get. So taking something like a screwdriver or a pencil, anything that you can use that's not a sharp tip but does have a small edge to it. I'm actually using a hook blade. There's no actual sharp edge on this blade. It's just a hook scalpel. It's made for prying and picking at things. And I just take the back side of it and gently push it through. So you don't want to tear these, otherwise there's no point in having them if they tear on you. Then you just give it a little twist. Then we're going to set that down in and repeat the process on the frame. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier. And there we have it. So you can see here now with the platform mounted, I can move this back and forth just a little bit. It's not going to move very far, just a little. So that's the basis of our frame. Now we're going to be doing a couple things to modify it. Number one, we'll be using our de-anodizing trick, which you can see in our de-anodizing video, and I'll like that here, to remove all the red from these. So we'll have a completely silver frame, with the exception of the isolating bobbins and the screws. Okay, so here's our 250 class mini quad. And as I said, in the upcoming videos in the series, we'll be not only finishing the quad to make it fly on its own, but we'll be doing some customizing, like removing the red anodizing, adding LEDs. We're going to be doing some customizing to the radio, adding a backlit screen because it didn't come with one, and some other features. We're also going to be looking at some 3D printed parts later on for doing things like angling the motors, which has to do with the flight characteristics of the frame, so that you're not flying like this to move forward, you're actually flying a little more level and the motors are angled like that instead, which gives us a little bit better footage for filming. So stay tuned, we'll see you in the next video.